A very warm and delightful welcome to my channel. My name is Salim and you're watching Pursuit of Motivation. Today in this video, we are going to learn the first lesson of NCERT book Beehive of class 9th. The name of the lesson is The Fun They Had, written by Isaac Asimov. In this video, I'll cover the part 1 of this lesson. For part 2, watch my next video. I hope you all are enthusiastic to learn this new lesson. So, let's get started. This story is written by Isaac Asimov, who was one of the 20th century's most prolific writers, known for science fiction works like Foundation and I, Robot. He was born on January 2nd, 1920 in Petrovichia, Russia. Asimov immigrated with his family to the United States and became an American writer and professor of biochemistry at Boston University. Asimov wrote and edited more than 500 books and estimated 90,000 letters and postcards. Isaac Asimov was the grand master of the science fiction writers of America, the founder of robot ethics and one of the world's most prolific authors of fiction. The Fun They Had is one of the most popular fictional works written by him. This story will surely make you laugh, school. It is a story that is set in the future, in the year 2157, where the books, the classrooms, the teachers, and the schools will be different from those that exist now. Learning will be through computers, robotic teachers, and moving electronic textbooks. This story is regarding school life and how those children who do not go to school miss school. And they will feel that their ancestors, that is the present generation, you all had fun going to school, meeting and helping each other. In the end, we come to know that this is an imagination of a young girl named Margie, who comes to know that their ancestors used to go to school. All the children used to study together. She feels that they all had a lot of fun when they went to school. So, when we read the story, we feel that school life is very good, and we are fortunate that we have real schools where we go, meet friends, and get a chance to study together. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. On the page headed 17 May 2157, she wrote, "Today, Tommy found a real book." It was a very old book. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. They turned the pages, which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. Crinkly means with many folds or lines, something that is crushed. Margie is the main character of the story. She's a girl of 11 years of age. She writes a diary on the night of 17th May 2157. At the time, Margie writes an entry in her diary, and she writes that Tommy found a real book, and she's feeling so strange because in her times real books do not exist. They only have electronic books, the virtual books. So, books in the format of print on paper are extinct, and that's why Margie is astonished to see a real book. Margie is reminded of her grandfather. He told her that his grandfather studied all the books that were printed on paper. So, this kind of a book is a historical or ancient for them, something which they cannot believe, they cannot imagine. Margie says that the pages of the book had turned yellow and they had been crushed as it was very old. The children found it very funny to read the words which stood still. On the other hand, the books that Margie and Tommy read were online electronic books. So, in the e-books, the text keeps on moving as your screen moves, but it was different in the books printed on paper. This was a very strange experience for these children. When you have a book which is printed on paper, whenever you flip the pages, you get to see the same thing written on the pages. On the other hand, in an electronic book, the text keeps on changing on the screen. The screen is same. You have the same screen in front of you, but the text keeps on changing. So, whenever you go back, the text is different. "Gee," said Tommy, "what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. Our television screen must have had 1,000,000 books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away." "Same with mine," said Margie. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. She said, "Where did you find it?" "In my house." He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. "What's it about?" "School." Attic. It is a space just below the roof, used as a storeroom. Tommy disliked the printed book. He said that it was a waste because he felt that whenever you complete reading a book, you have to throw it away. You cannot have some different story written on the same book. On the contrary, he felt that the computer screen was very good because the same screen had shown him many books and still he could read many more on it. He would not have to throw that screen away when once he had read a particular story. Margie agreed with Tommy's opinion. Margie was 11 years of age and she has not read as many books as Tommy had because Tommy was older to Margie. He was 13 years of age. Margie asked Tommy that where had he found the printed book. Tommy replied to Margie that he found the printed book in the storeroom of his house. He was so busy reading the book that he did not remove his glance from the book. Margie asked that what the book was about. Tommy replied that the book was about school, about going to school, about the life at school. Margie was scornful. "School? What's there to write about school? I hated school." Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. Scornful. It means contemptuous or showing your dislike for something. Margie hated the word school, and so she said that what was there to write about it, that an entire book had been written about school. Margie's school is a mechanical teacher, a machine, which teaches her every subject. Her school was a virtual classroom. It was not a real school like we have today. So, in the future, we are thinking that the schools will be virtual classrooms. There will be machines that will be teaching the children. Margie hated this machine because it was giving her so many tests in geography which were very difficult for her, and she was performing very bad. Finally, her mother thought that there was something wrong with the machine, and so she had called the county inspector to check it. He was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how all right, and after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. That wasn't so bad. The part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code. They made her learn when she was 6 years old, and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. Slot. It means a given space or time or position. The county inspector came to check the mechanical teacher. He was a round little man and he had a red face. He was carrying a box full of tools with dials and wires. So this man opened the machine. He was there to repair the computer. Once he had opened the computer, Margie wished that he wouldn't be able to close it back because she did not like the computer. She did not like to study from this teacher. But the man was an expert, and within an hour he had repaired the computer and had closed it and made it ready to teach Margie once again. Margie gives a description of the computer. She feels that it is very huge. It is black in color and she dislikes its appearance. It has a big screen and all the lessons appear on the screen, and many questions are asked on the same screen which are difficult for Margie. She hated this mechanical teacher the most because she had to submit her homework and test papers to it. She had to write her homework and her test papers in a particular punch code that is a computing language. She had learned the language at the age of 6. The machine checked the papers and calculated her marks in a few seconds. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time, take care, stay blessed.